What the heck is going on with this Calgary real estate market, and what the heck is going on with my facial hair? Well, it's Movember, baby, and I'm raising awareness for men's health. If you have a couple dollars to spare, the link for my fundraiser is below. My goal is to reach $1,000 by December 1st. Now, I will post a quick update on next month's report, so make sure to subscribe and watch this mustache grow throughout the month. But let's get into the numbers that were released for November, and they were just released this morning. Now, if you want to read this full report on your own, please click the link in the description. Go ahead and comment your community as well as your email in the comments below, and I will provide you with your very own community stats report for November. Hi, my name's Fyfe, your Calgary realtor. If you're thinking about making a move, or you just have some questions about the housing market here in Calgary, go ahead, click the link. It's the first link in the description, and book a call. Now I'm going to read this Krebs description in its entirety. If you want to read it on your own, that is very fine. Pause the video, read it, and move along to the next chapter. Sales remain stronger than pre-COVID levels. City of Calgary, November 1st, 2022. October sales eased compared to last year's levels, mostly due to slower activity in the detached sector. However, with 1,857 sales this month, levels are still stronger than long-term trends and activity reported prior to the pandemic. Year-to-date sales have reached 26,823, and with only 2 months to go, 2022 will likely post a record year in terms of sales. Calgary hasn't seen the same degree of pullback in housing sales like other parts of Canada, thanks to a persistently strong demand for a higher density product. While our city is not immune to the impact that inflation and higher rates are having, stronger employment growth, positive migration flows, and stronger commodity markets are helping offset some of that impact. New listings also trended down this month, causing the sales to new listing ratio to rise to 85% and inventories to trend down. Much of that inventory decline has been driven by the product price below $500,000. While conditions are not as tight as they were earlier in the year, with only 2 months of supply, conditions remain tighter than historical levels. We are also seeing divergent trends in the market, with conditions continuing to favor the seller in the lower price point ranges and shifting to more balanced conditions in the upper price point ranges. As of October, prices have eased by 4% relative to the highs reached in May. This is considered a relatively small adjustment when considering price movements in other large cities. It is also important to note that October benchmark price is still nearly 10% higher than last year's levels. That last part was a little messed up, but you get the point. Okay, so let's start this off by looking at the total residential prices for all of Calgary. Now, this is only a snapshot of the entire city. We need to break this down into quadrants and communities to get the full picture of what is happening in your area of interest. So from a quick glance, you can see that total residential prices are still up almost 10% year over year. But we are down from the 15% that we were seeing earlier on in the summer. Again, this is total residential, so all property types morphed into one stat. Now, here's each property type for the entire city. You can see that each property type is still at, or near 10% year over year. Now, breaking this down to month over month is what I'm most interested in. So if you look at the little blue arrow in each section, which represents the previous 12 months, you can see that all 4 property types have flatlined, meaning that the rise of interest rates have actually worked. Even though we're still at 10% year over year, it is not continuing to increase rapidly. Next, let's take a peek at the total sales and inventory in all of Calgary. Now, these graphs include all property types across the whole city. They are fairly useful when you want to look back at previous years and just try to figure out where we stand historically, but I'm more interested in what's happened over the past few months. But before we can get into that, you can see that even with the market slowing down, the number of sales is still relatively strong compared to previous years. And to my honest surprise, October 2021 actually outpaced this October. When you look at the inventory side of things, this has been the tightest October that we've seen in the past 14 years. The market is still very busy out there. Good listings that are priced well and marketed correctly do go conditional within the first week. Now, I'm confident that we will still see the market move fairly quickly until January, and then at that point, I would have to assume that the numbers are going to start to pull off and turn into a negative situation. Next, this map showcases the total residential prices for every quadrant in Calgary, so all property types in that quadrant combined into one stat. You can see that the north, northeast, and southeast have the biggest increases in price with 14% year over year, whereas the city center, while still seeing 4.5% increase, is the lowest in all the quadrants. And it's actually down from the 5.3% increase from last month. I do enjoy pointing this out as well, actually. Look at the price difference between East and West. Over $310,000 difference. That means if you want to get the best bang for your buck, Calgary East will have some of the lowest price per square foot compared to other areas of Calgary. Okay, so let's start to paint a picture of what's actually happening here month over month. Again, this is total residential. Make sure to watch my individual property type videos, which will be released once a day, every other day after this video goes live. So this snapshot here is of every month's stats from January to November, both this year and last year. Now, although things are falling, I still am very happy to see that things are dropping together, and I will dive into that in a moment. First, you can see that the month of October is the 5th month in a row to see a decline in the benchmark price, even though we're still up by $46,000 compared to October of last year. We're still hovering between February and March prices for total residential. Now, every property type will have a slightly different story, so just check out those videos on my channel. You can see that the overall sales have declined barely, new listings have declined by quite a bit, and inventory has also declined by quite a bit as well. Everything is definitely slowing down together, which is amazing to see. Now, if sales were falling as new listings and inventory were climbing, we would see a much bigger decrease in price. Days on market is relatively the same, but inching closer to being the highest it's been all year, and sales were again the lowest they've been in all of 2022. Now, yes, I know prices are falling and the market is slowing down, but I would still argue that Calgary is handling the slowdown pretty good. Again, we need to break it down into individual property types and quadrants to get the full picture of your personal situation. Okay, so moving right along, we're going to start to break down some of the numbers. Now, here's a graph that visualizes which property types in each quadrant are currently in demand and which are not. Each color here represents each quadrant, where the black bar is the total residential average for that property type. From a quick glance, I can tell you that I'm pretty happy to see nothing has 4 months of supply for the month of October. But you can see that almost every property type in the city center, as well as semi-detached homes in Calgary West, as well as apartments in Calgary Northwest, are inching towards buyer market territory. Some would say that it's a fairly balanced market in those areas right now. Some of the hottest product from this chart in Calgary are semi-detached homes in Southeast and East, and townhouses in Southeast, South, and North. So that means if you are looking for that type of product in those areas, your strategy will be different than looking for apartments in the Northwest or semi-detached homes in West. This is why consultations are so important. Now, like usual, I'm not going to read this out, but if you are interested in a certain property type, pause the video and read what the Calgary Real Estate Board has to say about each. I will, however, take this time to call out my lack of facial hair. Now, this is a very out of the norm look for me and is something that only happens once a year. So if you respect the hustle and you want to support men's health, then please donate a couple of bucks to Movember. The link is in the description. Finally, the microeconomic outlook for each property type in each quadrant. I will break this down way more in those videos being released later this week, so keep an eye out for that. But while we're here, let's touch on a couple of things. The only increases we saw in the past month were apartments in the Southeast, townhouses in city center, and I'll toss townhouses in the East as well. Anything near 1% really isn't worth noting, as 0.5 to 1% on a house really isn't that much in the grand scheme of things. Now, the biggest decreases that we saw in the past month were detached homes in the Northwest, apartments in the Northwest, and townhouses in both the Northwest and West. Year over year is quite interesting as well. We are seeing close to 20% increase in some areas. Apartments in the North and Southeast, townhouses in Northeast, North, and Southeast. Although things are slowing down as a whole, there is still a lot of movement in this market. Take the time, break down the numbers, do the research, and find an advisor that you can trust. This is only a recap. An overview if you would. If you have any questions, please text me or go ahead and book a call in my calendar link below. I truly hope that you did get some value from this video, so make sure to browse the channel for other relatable content. I plan on bringing you a lot more information from industry professionals themselves in the coming month, so strap in. Until next time, peace.